Good afternoon, Miss Gracia. Good afternoon, classmates. I'm in advanced online section, English. Um, and this is my audio journal number one. This is my audio journal number one. Um, I choose the topic of the Chernobyl disaster because it was a disaster that marks the history. Uh, until now, they talk about it. Until now, it was the biggest disaster with a nuclear plant in the history. They make a lot of losses. And now I'm going to tell about some facts about this disaster. It was occurred in Moscow at the local time at of 23 p.m. On the 26th of April in 1986, unless like 30 years ago. It was in Ukraine, Pripyat, in Soviet Union. The Chernobyl disaster, they also know about Chernobyl accident or simply Chernobyl. Is known about. It was a nuclear catastrophic accident that that occurred in a nuclear plant in the Soviet Socialist Republic of the Union. It was an explosion and fire release of large quantities of radioactive particles into the atmosphere, which spread over much of Western and Europe, Western USSR and Europe. Like I already said, this disaster was the worst disaster of a nuclear power plant in the history of humankind. This is on this is one of only two classified as level 7 events of the International Nuclear Event Scale. The other was Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan, but it wasn't that bigger like as Chernobyl. This catastrophe involved over 5,000 workers and cost estimates like $18 billion. During the accident, they only died about like 31 people, but the fakes you can see even now 30 years that it already passed 30 years, but you can still see the effects that Chernobyl caused. It's like cancer and many disease. In the article I read, they it was very sad because I read about three I read about three testimonies of people that lived that. The first one was the a firefighter's wife, a firefighter's wife that told us that his husband go to to take down the how can I say turn off the fire in the nuclear plant. He told his wife that he will go back in like 1 hour, 2 hours because he was only a little fire. That that day was that day was the last time she saw his husband because with all the because these firefighters doesn't have the equipe the 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 keep to enter the nuclear plant and nuclear plant. Uh, she doesn't. She only see one time. He has her husband. He was in the hospital of radioactivity and in there and she saw it. She saw her husband die because this disaster. Um, there were a lot of people dying in this disaster. There were a lot of people involved in this disaster. Mostly now, most part of this unit of this unit, Soviet Union is uninhabitable because this disaster of Chernobyl. Um, because they take down buildings, uh, parks, houses, and all that stuff. Until now, nobody can go to Chernobyl and live there because it's too radioactive for people. It's a very dangerous place. I read this article because we have to make consciousness about our acts, our human acts, what we do to our planet. We can it was our fault to do this and it was our fault that this big accident occurred. Thank you, Miss Juanita. Goodbye.